Hi guys, Alex here at Network A1A and welcome to a brand new video. Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, these set of videos are going to be going over labs for the CCNP Enterprise, and yeah, this is what I'm currently studying for. Hopefully I can get the encore late this year, early next year, but yeah, I don't know, we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm currently studying for that certification. So yeah, we're going to be going through some labs, and in this particular lab, or in these particular set of videos, it's going to be studying, or sorry, focusing on layer 2. So within this particular video, it's going to be multiple spanning tree. However, in later videos, we're going to be going over DTP. We're going to be going over our ether channels, so LACP, PAGP, or just static ether channels. We're going to be going over, configuring a max bundle within that ether channel, how it decides what interface is going to be used for that bundle. And then we're going to be also going on to rapid spanning tree over on this side, on the left hand side, as you guys can see here. And we're going to be configuring that, and then we're going to be sort of trying to manipulate traffic for the certain VLANs to flow a certain path towards our destination. And then also, if we had failures within the network, how it's going to converge in terms of spanning tree there. So yeah, that is just a quick overview, but let's get straight into multiple spanning tree configuration. So as you guys can see, we have switch 4, 5, 6 and 7 participating within the MST region. I've also just done basic configuration on these switches, so we don't have to configure trunks, because that's going to be within a later video, focusing on the left hand side of the topology when we go out towards when we go out of, sorry, the region. So obviously you guys can see here, so I'll just go show VLAN brief. I just quickly copied it in a notepad and copied it onto all the switches. So we have our VLANs here, and then we also go we can also see our trunking interfaces. So obviously these are static trunks that we have created, trunking between our switches. So now let's get onto the configuration. Over here, I have got a folder here, just so we can copy it into other switches, but we're obviously going to run it through on on switch 4 first. So we're going to configuration mode. And then first we need to specify that we want to use multiple spanning trees. So spanning tree mode, multiple spanning tree. And there we go. And then we have to go into a separate configuration mode in order to configure multiple spanning trees. So we've got spanning tree, MST configuration. Okay, and now in order for a switch to be considered as part of the same region, so switch 4, switch 5, switch 6, and switch 7, sorry, in order for them to be considered to be part of the same region and operating as one region, they need to have certain configuration options to be the same. So in this case, they need to have the same name for the region. They need to have the same revision number, so the revision number needs to be the same throughout all switches in the region, and they also need to have obviously the same instance to VLAN mappings. So let's go back onto our switch 4. So we'll go name, and in this case I called it CCNP. Then we're going to go revision, and the revision number is going to be 100. And then we have our instance to VLAN mapping. So we go instance 1, and we go to VLAN, and then we go 10, 20, 30, and 40. So that is what I want to map my VLANs. All these VLANs are going to be considered under the spanning tree instance of instance 1. And then we go instance 2, if I can spell. And then we'll go VLAN 50, 60, 70, 80. And as I said in a later video within these episodes, I'm going to be showing you how to manipulate the traffic. So we're going to be going further into the configuration and trying to alter the spanning tree so we can get traffic to flow how we want it to flow. However, in this video, it's just going to be the basic multiple spanning tree configuration. So there we go. That is the basic configuration for spanning tree, or sorry, multiple spanning tree. So if I go into here, show configuration, sorry, not show configuration. It is show spanning tree, MST configuration, and then we can see the configuration of our multiple spanning tree. So as you guys can see here, we have our name CCNP, we have our revision number that we set as 100, and then we also have our instances configured as 3. You're probably wondering, we actually configured 2 instances. Well, we did. However, spanning tree also adds an internal spanning tree, or an internal instance within spanning tree. This instance 0, as you guys can see here, and this runs for all VLANs. Sorry, that are configured throughout the switch. So basically what an internal spanning tree does is, firstly, it helps to lower spanning tree traffic, as we have special BPDUs, or internal spanning tree BPDUs, And then we also have, we'll go into an example here. When we're connecting to a switch which isn't part of the region, um, basically what the internal spanning tree does is we have this whole region here acting as one switch. So let's say switch 3 here, he is connecting to both switch 4 and switch 5. However, in switch three's mind, he's seeing him connecting to one switch. As we are a whole region, we run all switches run that multiple spanning tree 0. And that whole internal spanning tree instance. So let's say, for example, switch 7, this is the root of the internal spanning tree. Switch 7 therefore sends out his BPDUs of internal spanning tree and lists his bridge priority and his base MAC address in his bid and says, look guys, I am the root for internal spanning tree. So these guys are then going to say, okay, that's great. So they're going to send these BPDUs out towards switch 3 saying, look, I'm acting as this guy. So switch 3 isn't going to know this, but they're acting as switch 7 because they've got his base MAC address and they're saying, look, I'm the root bridge. I have got a cost of 0 to get to the root because I am the root. So switch 3 is going to receive these BPDUs and say, okay, I need to figure out my root port in order to get to the root bridge. So what is my best port to get to this root bridge? So he's going to look, and obviously the first option is cost. He's going to have the same cost, however, on these interfaces. So let's say, just for simpler reasons, we're using GI2/0 and GI3/0. So I'm receiving the same cost to get to the root bridge. So obviously I can't differentiate between costs because they are the same. So therefore I need to go on to the bid ID. So the best, firstly I'll go on the best preferred priority. Both priorities are going to be the same as it's saying I'm in the same switch, and then the base MAC address is the same because he's saying, look, I have the same priority and the same MAC address. So then he can't make a decision based off those two. So then he goes off of, okay, what is the sender's port priority? If we're using defaults, then port priority is the same. So then I'll need to differentiate this and go off the lowest port ID. So in this case, switch 4 has a lower port ID of 2/0 than switch 3's 3 slash or switch 5, sorry, 3/0. So I'm therefore going to make this my root port over here, and I'm going to block over here. So that is what the internal spanning tree basically does when we're talking to our non-region switches. It says, look, you guys need to use my base MAC address and advertise a cost of 0 to get to me, as look, we are the root bridge. We are the root bridge for this particular VLAN within this particular spanning tree instance. So yeah, I hope that made sense for you guys. Obviously, if you didn't really understand that, then urge you guys look it up on Google or go into your OCG books and just have a look there. But yeah, that is the configuration there, and I'm going to just quickly implement this onto our other switches. So actually I don't need to go into configuration mode. I can just grab all of this, and then we'll go into switch 5. Write that in there. Sorry, it's a bit oh well. That's what happens when you make a spelling mistake. And there we go. And then we'll put it into switch 6. And then we'll put it into switch 7 as well. I'm just running quite a lot of these layer 3 switches, so it uses quite a lot of resources in terms of CPU. So it's a little bit laggy, but it's okay. It does the job. So yeah, there we go. So now obviously we're gonna want to see who is our root bridge for our spanning tree instances. So let's have a look at this now. So obviously the best way to do this is show spanning tree. Let's go for MST1. So what is my root port in order to get towards the root bridge? So my root port in this case is GI0/0. So let's have a look at GI0/0. So switch 6, it looks to be switch 6 is for MST1. So obviously that's going to be the same for MST2, as it's just going off of his bid, and it's obviously going to be the same for MST0 as well. So there we go. We can see that this guy here, switch 6, is the the root bridge for all of these instances due to it having the lowest base MAC address. So let's go on to, we can also do this if we go show spanning tree, and we can also go show spanning tree root. This isn't obviously as helpful. It just tells you the cost to get there. Actually, it is helpful. because it tells you your route port. I never seen that. So it tells you route port to get there, which obviously in this case, TI0 is 0, that's the switch 6, and it also gives you the base MAC address of that guy there. So that's all great. So let's go and edit the routes, because in order to start setting up for our manipulation, our path manipulation, I want to set switch 4 the route for instance 1 and switch 5 the route for instance 2, and then I'm going to have switch 4 as the backup for instance 2 and switch 5 the backup for instance 1. So let's go into these switches now. And we'll go conf2, and then we'll go spanning tree MST1, and I'm going to just put the priority as 0, so obviously no other switch can beat it in terms of priority there. And I'm going to go spanning tree MST2, and I'm going to put this as the root, and I'm going to have this as the secondary, so just set this as the secondary root for there. So that looks all good there. So if I go show spanning tree MST1, and there we go, this guy is the root bridge. And I'll go on to V switch 5 here. Conf T. Switch 5 is, yep, he's the guy. Just didn't want to make any configuration changes on him. If he wasn't obviously the correct switch. So spanning tree MST1, and I'm going to have this as the secondary route in case our primary route goes down. And then we're going to go spanning tree MST2, and then we're going to go with a priority. We're going to have a priority of 0, which is the lowest priority that we can choose. So obviously no other switch can beat it in case once it comes back into, if it has a lower priority, if it's added into the spanning tree topology over there. So let's go on to show spanning tree instance, or sorry, MST2. So we should be the root now. And yes, we are. And then if we go on to show spanning tree MST1, we should see 3/3, as obviously that's going to have the lowest cost path in order to get to switch 4. So that's going to be the root. And yes, it is these states are just in the learning states. Now, if you guys want to see more information or more in-depth view on these states and how we transition from learning to listening state, or listening, sorry, to learning state, then obviously look at my last video, and it will show you that now. And we've moved into our designated port role there, and we've gone into the forwarding state. But that is in the past video that I did going over the 802.1d, which is obviously traditional spanning tree. But yeah, that is in terms of configuration. That is everything there that you guys need to know. Hopefully it was helpful for you guys in terms of configuration, what needs to match on these switches, and also how internal spanning tree works when you're connecting to a non-region switch. Within the next future videos, these are going to be our rapid PVST plus switches over here, and then we're going to be seeing what configuration change we need to alter in order to get it to send traffic on our designated paths that we want to actually send across. So yeah, hope you guys did enjoy the video. The next video, not too sure, I think we might do DTP and either channels or either one, and then the last video is going to be just configuring all of those path manipulation techniques. So yeah, hope you guys did enjoy the video. Comment, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter with @networka18, and the link is also in the description below. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys next time.